Good morning, friends, or indeed good afternoon or evening or whatever, wherever you are, which seems to be all around the world. So, wherever you are, oh, excuse me. Wherever you are and however you are, here we are. I thought a couple of things. I thought it'd be nice to chant a little together. We haven't done any chanting this week, and so hey, end of the week, a little bit of chanting as a kind of ramp into meditation. Oh, I think there's something dusty here that's making me sneeze. A little bit of chanting as something of a ramp into meditation. And one of the things that was very nice about seeing so many of you and sitting with so many of you in person last week and the week before in the UK was we got to do some chanting together. And, you know, it's okay to chant like this, of course, but essentially chanting is like a communal practice. It can also become a contemplative practice of, you know, we get in our individual sort of story and stuff, and then that sense of just the collective of chanting as if one voice, you know, that sense of shared intention, shared presence, sensitivity, one melody, or, you know, more or less, you know, and one alignment. So yeah, it's beautiful to sense that, and it's not quite the same. We have tried in the past on Zoom or on here, like turning on multiple microphones to try and have that sense of chanting together, but it doesn't work at all. So that was my first thought. And then the second one was, okay, well, what shall we chant then? And yesterday we were talking about going, where everything's in movement and ways in a sort of meditative way, but not just in meditation, orientating to the constant fluidity of life. The sense that our practice actually invites us, on the one hand, to become that total fluidity, which everything is anyway. I mean, sights are changing, sounds are changing, sensations are changing, feelings are changing, everything's changing, right? So we say that's very much sort of Buddhism 101, everything is changing. But, you know, what do you do with that? So the invitation to actually really experientially to sort of relax into that. Another way of saying that is to become this total fluidity. And then we recognize it's natural. Fluidity is natural. We also start to recognize that there's something rather fraught and ultimately futile about resistance, about tension, about holding ourselves in a certain way. We start to realize that so much of what the dukkha, the friction, the suffering that we create is a way at which we're trying to hold a sense of something solid, most essentially a sense of me as a thing, me as something I can build into some okay version of myself. And that is fraught, right? It's hard work trying to construct a sense of me that I can rely on. And it's also futile because total fluidity. Everything's streaming. Everything is already on its way to goneness. And as such, trying to hold on to that which is going is, don't work. So we were talking about that yesterday, and so I thought maybe we would chant the Heart Sutra essence this morning as a way into meditation. And we actually did this at Gaia House a couple of weeks ago, partly because the retreat was called Radical Freeness. And it's a bit of a radical chant. The implications are radical. And so I'm a little discerning about where I offer. So even though it's one of my most favourite chants, I'm a little discerning about where I offer it, because it's intense, right? Gate gate para sangate bodhiswaha. It's the Sanskrit line, and then we'll chant the following line the way we chant it: gone, gone, gone beyond, awake beyond the great beyond. So it's a kind of poetic renditioning of the Sanskrit line, but it's evoking this sense of goneness. Like, what if we allow everything to be gone? Which sounds strange, sounds disconcerting sometimes, sounds nihilistic even. Gone, gone. And yet awake beyond the great beyond, even when everything is gone. Awakeness remains. And then we chant the line again, but slightly differently, which is actually the closest to the actual translation of the Sanskrit. Gone, gone, gate, gate, gone, gone. Para gate, completely gone. Para sangate, sang like sangha, gone into everything. So gone altogether, like dissolved. We think of dissolution as dissolving into nothing, right? If we think about, I'm gonna sit here, relax, let the self-concern dissolve. We think of dissolving as a disappearing, as if into nothing, but actually dissolved into everything, dissolved into great intimacy, we could say, dissolved into an utter inclusion of that which appears to be utterly included in our own hearts, in our own chitta, in our own mind, but also dissolved into everything. This sense of oneself that one so easily holds as separate, that one feels somehow to be apart from life. No, dissolved into complete belonging, total inclusion, utter intimacy, becoming this total fluidity. And then the last line that we chant is not really a translation of that first line, but more is unpacking some of the implications of that. All forms are empty, right? of some sort of inherent solidity. All forms are empty. All form is gone. And then all forms are radiant. So everything may be disappearing, right? Everything is already lost, we could say. Like that famous Zen story of the cup that the teacher holds up, already broken. In fact, just yesterday I was with somebody who was telling me they wanted to open a pottery shop called Already Broken. But at the same time, all forms are radiant. Like the very fact that anything appears, it's kind of marvelous, it's mysterious. So if we only have the goneness, that can appear a little nihilistic, but all forms are radiant. There's something that completely miraculous, wondrous, mysterious about the fact that there is anything at all that appears, that shows up as form. And again, we were talking about form and emptiness yesterday's session. And then all form is love. It's like this, actually. What are all these appearances? It's as if life itself is so generative that it produces all of this. It produces a universe, and not only a universe, but a universe that can be seen, that can be heard, that can be responded to. Wow. So I think George will paste in the words to the chant. Gate gate parasangate bodhiswaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond, awake beyond the great beyond. Gone, gone, completely gone. Dissolved into everything. Awake right here. All forms are empty. All form is gone. All forms are radiant. All form is love. So let that be our ramp into meditation. Let not the words, you don't have to think about the meaning. Really the power in chanting comes with repetition, so that we don't have to think about the meaning. It's more over time, it sort of sinks into us. Elements of it stand out. We might just hear the gone, gone, and there's something kind of resonant of that through the repetition. So most essentially, let your throat relax. Let your heart area be open, receptive. Let your belly be soft and round. Let the sound come from as low down as possible. And in fact, before we start, you might just make a sound, an ah sound on the out breath, and see if you can soften your throat, open your chest, and kind of descend down into your belly. See if the can have a feeling to it of great gentleness. Kind of effortlessness. And see if that quality can run through the chanting somehow. So a few minutes of chanting this round and round, and then we'll let that kind of carry us into meditation. So please let me stop things from beeping at me while the meditation's on. Oh, too many apps open. All right, there we go. So please take your seats. Gate, gate, para, gate, para, sangate, bodhiswaha. Gone, gone, beyond the wake, beyond the great beyond. Gone, gone, completely gone, dissolved into everything, awake right here. All forms are empty, all form is gone. All forms are radiant, all form is love. Gade, gade, para, gade, para, sangate, bodhiswaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond the wake, beyond the great beyond. Gone, gone, completely gone, dissolved into everything, awake right here. All forms are empty, all form is gone, all forms are radiant, all form is love. Gate, gate, para, gate, para, sangate, bodhiswaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond the wake, beyond the great beyond. Gone, gone, completely gone, dissolved into everything, awake right here. All forms are empty, all form is gone. All forms are radiant, all form is love. Gate, gate, para, gate, para, sangate, bodhiswaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond awake beyond the great beyond, gone, gone, completely gone, dissolved into everything, awake right here. All forms are empty, all form is gone, all forms are radiant, all form is love. Agate, gate, pada, gate, pada, sangate, bodhiswaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond, awake beyond the great beyond, gone, gone, completely gone, dissolved into everything, awake right here. All forms are empty, all form is gone, all forms are radiant, all form is love. Gate, gate, pada, gate, pade, sangate, bodhiswaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond, awake beyond the great beyond, gone, gone, completely gone, dissolved into everything, awake right here. All forms are empty, all form is love, all forms are radiant, all form is love. We sit in radiant goneness. Seeing has gone. Hearing is gone. Breath is gone. It doesn't mean there's no seeing, there's no hearing, there's no breath. It's rather allowing everything to move freely. Goneness is another word for transparency. Everything is ephemeral, ungraspable, fluid and fleeting. gone. And yet, see how radiant this realm of experience is. The constant appearances of life's effulgence. Empty becoming, radiant goneness. Awake, right here. Gone. Letting experience just stream gently through awareness. Nothing to hold on to. Relief. Relaxation. Release. Dissolving into everything. resting in this total fluidity of experience. And recognizing in any moment where some part of the river of experience has captured your attention, where your attention has frozen a little around a sense of time and space, inner and outer, self and world, this and that. And then relaxing, releasing that thought object. Releasing it back into the stream of total fluidity. And this then is our practice, recognizing, releasing, relaxing. Awake, right here. These last minutes of the sitting, let's see if you can just soften your gaze. Don't try to do anything. Just let your sense of being here be rather wide, open, soft. And just that, seeing if you can just taste that flavour of total fluidity, that flavour of a kind of empty, radiant display. Nothing to grab. It's a sort of unfathomable dance of experience. Breath and body, sounds and sensations, ideas and images, all in flux, in movement. Empty, radiant display. Ungraspable, undimmable, unstoppable. Constantly being confirmed by every phenomenon, by every moment of experience. And how is this possible? How is this known? Where is this flow of experience being registered, being made conscious? Right here, in the fundamental wakefulness that is the nature of mind. Awake right here. Awake amidst the going, awake in the goneness. Simultaneously awake and dissolved. Just like this. May we dare to dissolve, to give ourselves up to this empty, radiant display. Maybe be awake right here, that we might make a skillful response, a wise, a loving response to whatever life presents us with. May we all live fully, fluidly, freely. All right. That was meditation. And the last couple of days, yesterday and today, if some of the talk of dissolution and empty radiance, if it all seems a little disconcerting, just can leave it aside. Can also just sit within a sense of embodied presence, breath and body, not getting caught up in stuff. Bring the attention back. So, sometimes if we hear teachings that don't quite meet our own experience, we feel like we need to sort of lean out of our experience and try and fit our experience into what's being taught. No. Lead with experience. Lead with just whatever seems alive to you in the moment, and see how teachings meet that. And when they do meet that, wonderful. And if they don't, it's fine. Just leave them aside for the moment. It's important to just trust in the goodness of your practice, to trust in the kind of however close you can get to your experience right now and see what's alive there. And keep going like that, then any true teachings will start to match your experience and illuminate your experience. Yeah. All right, good. So there's a little time for questions if you have any, and let me say a few other things first. Firstly, tomorrow, 2 things tomorrow. One in balloons. One in person in Paris in French in the morning. Come and hang out with me, come and sit with me, come and explore and chew the Dharma fat with me a little in the 9th, from 10 till 12, dans une kiosque dans le square Anvers, en fait. So there's at the top of the little road where I stay in Paris, there's this little park called the Square Anvers. It's just below, near Pigalle. And there's a little, like a bandstand kiosk there. So we can be dry. It's usually quiet on a Saturday morning. So I thought, hey, that's, pop-up Dharma, 10 till 12. Bring something to sit on. So if you're in Paris and if you speak French, understand enough French, come along. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the kind of freestyle nature of it, and to seeing some of you, and to being outside in the sounds of the street and all. So, come along. And then in the afternoon tomorrow, there's a day of practice here at Sangha Live, and the theme is as if everything is sacred. And this is sort of following a thread of reflection I've been having and using recently. And I've discovered these 2 words are great magic words, as if. And a lot of the things we kind of get a little tight around, like, is it like this or is it like that? And often the way as if can, anyway, come along. You'll hear about it there. George has put a thing in, and I think I've made a little 1-minute video, and there's a little description. But come along and we'll explore it together. But it's really, it's a really helpful way to resolve difficulties, particularly philosophical difficulties that one might have with ideas about rebirth, or questions about, well, when we practice metta, what is that supposed to do? Where does the metta go? Is it really is it just something we're doing in here? Or when I wish somebody well, does it somehow travel through space and land on them? And then we can get into a lot of difficulties about what to believe, what to think, and as if can magically dissolve a lot of that. And if you're not quite sure how, well, come along and see. Yeah. All right. That was those 2 things. Then Dana, and as it's Friday, I always bang the Dana drum a little louder on Friday because it's the end of the week. So you know how all that works. I'm sure the vast majority of you have been here many times before. So it's really just a reminder. But Sangha Life does have many thousands of euros of overheads every month. It's it's grown in scale to be able to offer free, interactive, available Dharma online almost every day. And has a lot of complexity to it. It's also a full-time job for some people and part-time job for others, and therefore there are salaries to pay and all the digital costs of hosting and, you know, mailing, managing a mailing list. When you've got a large mailing list, that's actually quite expensive each month. So all of that is nevertheless offered free of charge, free of any kind of obligation. But yes, it's definitely not free of costs. So if you're able to help Sangha Live meet those costs, then thank you. It's a blessing. It's a support for me as the teacher this week. It's a support for Sangha Live in existing. It's a support for your own practice, and it's a support for everybody who can then come along and participate. So, hey, you don't want to miss out on the chance to make that great merit. So please, just to thank you for your Dana contributions, whatever way you offer them and however much you're able to offer or feel moved to offer. And like I say, even if you feel like you're offering a modest amount, feel the goodness in it. In the moment of making the offering and clicking on the button, you know, let yourself feel the goodness of that. Wow, offering support. So you're supporting me, you're supporting Sangha Live, you're supporting your practice, you're supporting everybody else who can come. Marvelous. So thank you. Thank you for your support. Here's the link. And the address somebody asked for tomorrow is in Square Anvers. Right? Square Anvers. And if you're not, Square Anvers, Anvers. Look on my Instagram at Martin Aylward, and if you scroll through the posts of this week, there's a post about pop-up Dharma, and it has all the information in there at Martin Aylward. All right, enough propaganda. Let's see. And exactly, Laura, it's the park just opposite the Anvers Metro. Yeah, so I'd be delighted to see you there. I don't know if there'll be 5 people or if we'll be 30 people. It's the first time I'm doing it. I'm intending to do it semi-regularly, depending on how it goes. And yeah. All right. Frederic asks, in the early times of getting to know meditation, I heard that there should be enough I so that it can dissolve. Or so that emptiness or vastness can be experienced without imbalance. Any comments about that? I assume, Federica, that what that means is the work of kind of, let's say, a practice that involves this quality that we've been speaking about today, a quality of surrender, a quality of letting go, a quality of dissolving. One needs to be fairly kind of robust. One needs to have a psychology that basically is robust enough to allow that quality of letting go. If there's too much dysregulation, too much anxiety, too much chaos, you know, in the psychology, then either one just can't, that quality of relaxation can't come alive. It's just too much chaos and anxiety in the system. Or if it does let go, the sense of letting go is so disorientating that it can actually that it can cause, you know, more disruption. And then one sort of lets go, one sort of has that sense of dissolution, but actually one is plagued by a very chaotic sense of self that then gets hold of the dissolution experience and sort of makes up unhelpful stuff about it, you know. So that's what's meant by it. It's not that one needs enough I to experience emptiness. That would be a contradiction in terms, but it means that the basic, you know, we're all a bit psychologically weird, and we're all a bit dysregulated, and we're all eccentric and weird. But it's like there needs to be enough okayness with oneself for that dissolution to not be too, too frightening. It still might be frightening at first, because we're all locked into a sense of self. So even though we long in some ways, oh, let me put down this noisy, troublesome, weird, sense of self. Oh, let me know a spacious, silent, peaceful abiding. But actually, when that really happens, when we let go, it is disorientating by its nature. It's like, oh, I don't know who I am anymore. It's like, what'll happen if I let myself just dissolve into everything? I'll vanish, I'll disappear, I'll be annihilated. And so there's a very strong existential inertia against allowing that. Right? And so I don't mean that, when he needs to be well adjusted in some way that no fear will arise. No, fear will definitely arise. Disorientation will definitely arise. And sometimes people experience it as blissful, that sense of, sort of putting down the burden of self-identification. Sometimes people experience it as frightening, but both of those flavors will appear along the way. Yeah. And if one feels that it's too terrifying going into that territory, well, don't go there. Just stick with cultivating presence, just in terms of breathing, and cultivating gentleness. There's a lot to be said for practicing in a way that just is sensing into, it's okay to be here. It's okay to be here. It's good to feel breath. It's okay to let hearing in. It's good to give an attention that is a kind attention, a gentle attention, an intimate attention. And so a lot of our foundational meditation practice that we're doing is that we're basically learning that it's okay to be here, that the best attention to give is a kind and gentle attention, and then we're relaxing into being here. And so then we go from relaxing into being here, from relaxing the sense that one is the one being here. That then has a continuum to it. So I hope that's clear, or when I say that, I see you responded there. Yeah, important that meditators know that. Yeah. Is there a mantra which emphasizes interwoven into being more than goneness? Yeah, I would say Om Mani Padme Hum is the supreme one for that. Om means totality, right? Om, totality. Mani means jewel, but in this case it means the jewel-like nature of mind. Padme means lotus, but it means the lotus-like nature of the heart. So Om Mani Padme, the totality of experience, is all reflected in the jewel-like nature of awareness, and can all be transformed into love by the lotus-like nature of the heart. And then Hung is like, oh yeah. Om Mani Padme Hum. The totality of experience is reflected right here. It can all be metabolized by the heart, so that everything is interwoven as the display of love. Hung, wow. Om Mani Padme Hum. And I've elsewhere here on Sangha Live, I've often kind of gone through that mantra in different ways, sort of teasing out some of those meanings and chanting it together. All right, am I missing questions? Giles, I keep judging my practice, not usually complimentary. Any tips? Stop it, Giles. Stop it. All right. Okay, the fact that you notice you're judging it, just in that moment, don't get down on yourself, because then you're just judging the judging. Oh no, I'm judging my practice again, right? It's like, oh, judgment. Oh, judgment. I see you, Mara. Oh, judgment. So that's one side of it. When you notice the judgment appear, oh, judgment, and call it, recognizing the judgment, naming the judgment in a way that itself isn't harsh or judging or frustrating. It's just, oh, judgment. Of course, judgments appear. Oh, I judge my practice. You know, that sort of tone of not taking the judging so seriously or solidly or personally. That's one side. Oh, judgment. The other side is really reflecting on the goodness of your practice. You know, I mean, you know, I know you and your practice well enough, Giles, right, to just know the steadiness, the continuity over time. You know, the how much show up here, the ongoing, you know, mentoring that you do with your practice. Like, wow, there's a lot of goodness there. The steadiness, the commitment, the willingness to keep showing up and exploring. Very important that we actually recognize and trust in and honor the goodness of our practice. And the goodness of our practice doesn't have anything to do with the quality of our practice, right? So don't worry about the quality of your practice, the sincerity of it, not the quality of it, the goodness of it. So those two things together, you know, reflecting on the goodness of your practice, and just see, how does that phrase sound to you right now? The goodness of your practice. How does it sound? What do you, can you recognize? Well, yeah, I can see the goodness of my practice. So, you know, if that doesn't, if you find yourself bouncing off that statement, you come back to it until you really can settle in and sort of feel the goodness of your practice, delight in the goodness of your practice, feel genuinely appreciative of the goodness of your practice. All right, friends, I think we'll have to stop there. I see there's plenty more going on lower down, but we'll just have to trust in it's all good. I'm not sure if there are more questions, but there's various appreciative comments for everything. So I thank you. I want to appreciate you for being, you know, so sweet to each other, so supportive and loving, and the way you show up and the way you type things in the comments. You know, it's really beautiful. The sense of goodwill and mutual support really permeates the field of practice that we have here at Sangha Live. And I think that to be able to give rise to and to nourish a field of practice like this in an online situation, it's really beautiful. You know, and of course, Sangha Live gets some of the credit for that, but you all get plenty of the credit for that as well. You know, yeah. So thank you, friends. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow, either in Paris or here at Sangha Live for the day of practice. And either way, please go gently through the day. Maybe you can allow yourself to relax into a sense of being awake in, or even awake as, total fluidity. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.